First of all, let's start by just comparing these sets of numbers with less than, greater than, or equal to. So starting off with number 1, -3 and -4. Well, -3 is definitely greater than -4. 6 and 2. 6 is greater than -2. -8, -5. Well, everybody knows that -8 is smaller than -5. -5 and -5, those two are equal to each other. 3 and -3, I think 3 is definitely greater than -3. And -8 and -2, -8 is less than -2. All right, moving right along. So as we talk about inequalities, inequalities is a mathematical sentence that contains these symbols. So what do we mean by those symbols? Well, this arrow pointing to the left is called the less than symbol. Other words that can be used in a sentence to describe that is fewer than, something like that. This symbol is the greater than symbol, meaning that it's greater than, the number on the left is greater than the number on the right of it. Another way to describe a greater than situation is, well, this particular number is more than or larger than. This next symbol is the less than or equal to symbol. Another ways of describing this is at most or is no more than. And then the last symbol is greater than or equal to, as we see in those words right there. Other ways of describing that is a relationship where a number is at least another number or is no less than another number. That would mean that that number is greater than or equal to whatever you're comparing it to. All right, so there's different ways of graphing inequalities compared to graphing just a normal equation. For example, if you were to graph n equals -4, then you would just put down a solid circle at the point where you see 4 on the number line. If you were to graph n is less than or equal to 4, an inequality, then you would put that same dot at where 4 is, but you would also have an arrow pointing to the left to indicate that all the numbers to the left of 4 are also part of the solution. So as we see in our description up here, when you have an open circle, it's used when a number is not a solution. A closed circle indicates that it is a solution, and an arrow pointing in to the left or to the right will also talk about where the other solutions are, such as to the left of a number, it means it's all the numbers less than, and to the right of a particular number, that's all of the numbers that are greater than that particular number. So let's graph a couple more. N is less than or equal to -2. So we'll go to -2, make a nice solid dot because it's less than or equal to, and an arrow pointing to the left, just like that. All right, not bad. Let's try a couple more. How about A is greater than -6? Well, in this case, -6 is not part of the solution, so we will circle -6, and then we'll have an arrow indicating that all of the solutions, all the numbers greater than -6, are in this direction. How about B is less than -1? Well, let's circle -1 with an open circle and an arrow going to the left. Those are all the numbers that are less than -1. All right, now in your assignment and what we're going to practice right now, we're going to look at some inequalities that have already been graphed, and we're going to go ahead and write down the inequality as a sentence for that. So we have -6 colored in and an arrow pointing to the right. So we've got the number -6, and so x is going to be, we'll grab our little symbol here, x is greater than or equal to -6 on this particular one. Let's keep moving along. How about this one? We've got the open circle at -1 with an arrow pointing to the left. So in that case, we are going to have x is less than the number -1. All right, keep going. In this case, we have an open circle at 3 So that means that we're going to have a symbol of the greater than symbol. So the question is what comes next. So we're going to have x. And I often use x for this because it kind of reminds me of the x-axis, especially when we start graphing. So x is greater than 3. All right, keep moving along. How about this one? Well, we've got a solid dot at 4. So in this case, we're going to have x and 4. And it looks to me like it's a less than or equal to situation. So we bring over a less than or equal to. And there's our inequality. Let's try one or two more here. So -2. So we've got, again, our variable we like to use is x. Oops. X. Oh, I'm having a little trouble here. Sorry, I'll grab a pen. We'll get this on here. So we've got x is greater than or equal to -2. So there's that one. All right, now, what if I just give you a phrase? And then based on the little word hints that I gave you a little earlier, let's just go ahead and write an inequality for this. So b is less than 4. So b less than symbol 4. Well, that's pretty easy, isn't it? How about 7 is less than y? Well, 7, that didn't look good. So let's try that again. 7 is less than y. That's how that would look if you were to write it out. How about a is less than or equal to 18? We have a is less than or equal to 18. Keep moving along. How about g is greater than x? Some of these seem to be written a little bit backwards from what we're expecting. So, or excuse me, not g, but 9. 9 is greater than x. So whatever number is written here first, you can just write it down and then the inequality symbol and then whatever comes next. So m is greater than or equal to 14. M is greater than or equal to 14. Well, these are looking pretty easy. I kind of like these. All right, here's a couple where we're going to translate the sentence into an inequality. So the product of x and 4, so that means multiply, 4 times x is less than 19, or -19. So that's what it would look like if you translated that sentence into this inequality. Let's do a couple more of those. Translate this sentence into an inequality. The number w increased by 3, w increased by 3 is less than or equal to 22. All right, so there's that one. That's not too bad. How about this one? 7 subtracted from c is greater than or equal to -28. So in this case, 7 is being subtracted from c. We got to watch the wording close. Is greater than or equal to -28. Greater than or equal to -28. All right. Well, that's the kind of problems we're going to see on today's assignment. So look on Alex and look for inequalities number 1. Thank you very much.